really to see you here.
All right, so I've just been informed that we're live now, so you feel free to start whenever you're ready.
Wait. Sorry. So when are we gonna go live?
We'll just start now. So feel free to just start whenever you're ready.
Okay, so what, Marjan, are you gonna start or should I just press start webinar? That's it. Marjan. Nikki, what should I do? Start webinar here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the grassroots-led session, Children's Participation, a Turning Point in the COVID-19 Response in Europe and the Middle East. My name is Ornella Barros, and I will be your moderator today. Welcome to this Global Week of Faith in Action for Children. For those of you who haven't been part of the previous session taking place today, the Global Week of Faith in Action for Children brings together children and young people from diverse religious and cultural backgrounds, religious leaders, representatives from civil society and faith-inspired organizations, multilateral agencies, and governments to catalyze joint actions and compelling responses to address the underlying issues that impact children's well-being and enhance their participation in matters that concern them, with particular focus on impacts during and post-COVID-19. This session is very important because we are going to bring together perspectives from the region of Europe and Middle East, and particularly aiming to engage in dialogue between children and GNRC adults that have been responding to the situation of COVID-19, with particular focus on its impact on education, child poverty, and violence against children. They are going to be sharing, highlighting inspirational stories and interfaith actions carried out by children, youth and NGOs, members of the Global Network of Religions for Children, working for the well-being of children and their communities, including actions that recall, of course, the Panama Commitments to End Violence Against Children, which is the roadmap of the work that the Global Network of Religions for Children undertake worldwide. So let's start this panel discussion that will include panelists from Europe and the Middle East, with Roger Salameh, who's going to be speaking about the importance of strengthening the Palestinian children's sumud, also named resilience and character during COVID-19 in Palestine. So Roger is from Bethlehem, Palestine. He holds a high diploma of information technology. He works as youth project coordinator for the Arab Educational Institute in Palestine. Is a member also of the organization of Pax Christi International Movement. He has been working in the field of interreligious and intercultural education, peace building, and nonviolence, as well as advocacy and sumud, as well as youth empowerment, in which he has acquired a lot of knowledge, experiences, and skills in training and leadership. Roger, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ornella. Hi, everybody. So today I will start my short presentation about introducing the situation now in Palestine. And then I will give you a definition about sumud and its shapes. And then I will give you some ways of strengthening the children's sumud and personalities during COVID-19. So as Palestinians, everybody aware that we are under the Israeli occupation, and the Palestinian community has faced many difficulties in dealing with this unseen COVID-19. So therefore, the Arab Education Institute has been applying the concept of sumud, which means resilience, with all its meanings and shapes to relieve our children and young, so as to be able to handle, to cope, to deal with this pandemic, as well as to strengthen their personalities and to keep their souls and bodies healthy and safe. So the word sumud, it's an Arabic word which means steadfastness, resilience, perseverance. In other words, it is the way we live our daily life in facing the different crises such as the occupation, the COVID-19, and our children and youth challenges, especially health, poverty, and violence. So I will give you also other meanings to try to grasp, to understand the word sumud. What does it mean in our context? Other meanings, rootedness and connectedness to the land. Like the olive tree, it is rooted under the ground. So this is what we are looking here in our country, that we are connected to the land. National unity and living together as Christian and Muslims. Faith in God, faith in justice and peace and national rights. Hope, it is very important that we have hope here, otherwise everybody will leave the country. Peaceful resistance to be injustices, inequalities and evils. Continuity in combating hate speeches and violence against children, young and women. So now I will give you some ways that how we are strengthening our children and shaping their personalities. So we support our children in our AI schools network, and during their weekly indoor and outdoor meetings, as well as youth meetings, through focusing on the formal and informal education, such as we give them the space to express themselves by doing arts and graffiti, singing, dancing, and using the technology in order to expressing themselves through TikTok. It's well known. We encourage them to write wishes and prayers on different social, national, interreligious feasts, Christmas, Ramadan, Mother's Day, Labor's Day, etc. We offer them a summer school activities where we select a title which suits the kids and the children and the young people to try to, through their products, to express these activities to the local people and to the international people. So also we combine fun and entertainment to support them psychologically in order to reduce their worries, fears, and concerns. We organize advocacy actions and initiatives for peace, like the International Week for Prayer for Peace. We collect prayers written by these young people and children. Trauma courses, after we had many incidents took place in Palestine, we started to introduce a trauma course in order to help the children and the infected people by corona to overcome their problems. We build the social cohesion between the Christians and Muslim children by praying together and celebrating the religious feast together. So soon we will start doing some kind of activities for the Advent and the Christmas time, and also we will have the Prophet Muhammad birth anniversary. Also, we teach about the civic values like love, respect, and acceptance of the other. In order to strengthen our sumud as Palestinians, we should respect each other and accept each other. Also, we are connect the children to the land by during the lockdown. We ask the children with the support of their parents to go to land and to plant some flowers, helping the parents in picking the olive trees, cleaning campaign in the environment as well as school yards. Also, the most important initiative also which is important for the elderly people and the needy and lonely who are infected by the COVID-19, to support them by food aid, visiting them, collecting and providing medical supports with the cooperation of the adults. Raising awareness about COVID-19 and abiding the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education, we are implementing our project in schools that we have to take all these protocols. We give them lessons at schools to talk about COVID-19, how can we overcome, how can we take all the measures into our consideration, and we introduce an online course which talk about the good, the positive and negative impact of COVID-19, we introduced the COVID-19 vocabs, terminology in English. And we went to the street to make some kind of interviews and to share it on our social media to see what is the opinion of the people, and distributing the face mask, hygiene, and gloves. So this is, I think I was very short. I think I have 1 minute. So I will stop here and give the chance to to Elias, and then we can see how time will be with us.
Thank you very much, Roger. And you have spoken about these many programs you have conducted around building children's and their families' resilience, which is very important in times in which confinement and many other issues actually continue out there. So I just want to remind to our audience that you can post your questions on the chat box you will find on the right side of your screen. And our panelists will be very happy to actually, of course, answer them at the end of the session. I would also particularly and especially welcome children joining us today and following this conversation. And it's just about time to give and welcome Elias, who is 17-year-old and also lives in Bethlehem. Elias has been recently finished his high school and looks forward to pursuing a bachelor and master's degree in psychology. His dream is to become a psychologist in the future. He's an active member of the Arab Educational Institute, and his hobbies include reading philosophical and scientific books, writing, listening to music, and of course, enjoying activities and development of critical thinking and interreligious and intercultural dialogue. Welcome, Elias. Thank you for joining us today, and the floor is yours.
My name is Elias Mubarak. Today I will talk here mainly about the impact of the COVID-19 on education with positives and negatives. First of all, I will start with some of the positives and increase in the awareness of community members, especially of the school ones, particular on the importance and the need of using modern technology, Zoom, Microsoft, Meet apps. This is so helpful as the whole world is heading for digital future one. For the online learning, I and my classmates have been able to develop our creative talents and potentials, as well as promoting scientific research, which is important for future Palestine. So the online learning has enabled, about myself, the online learning has enabled me to learn more about new subjects such as preventative education and COVID-19 vocabs. It has also motivated me to read more books on my favorite topics in college. Electronic learning has helped me and students and my people to be more aware and to apply to health safety measures and the security safety measures during the pandemic to protect ourselves. So now I will talk about the negatives. So first of all, the division of the class into two parts each. One comes on different days. One part of the class studies face-to-face, or also known offline, and the second stays at home for online learning at home. Now we have some problems at home, like more pressures on the parents to follow up their children due to poor children have no internet access, especially those in the poor countryside and the refugee camps. The home environment has become unhealthy, unsafe, and noisy due to many members of the family at home and facing family quarrels and domestic violence. The family inability to pay school fees in light of suspensions of many economic sectors and the rise in unemployment rate. So psychologically, some students become neglectful of their lessons and they feel in constant frustration, more and fear. So also the absence of interaction, discussion, and effective communication between the students and the teachers. At the end, I hope after this short presentation that our Advent, Christmas, and the new seasons will be safe and healthy times through the arrival of an effective, safe, and cheap vaccine, in addition to continue in our smooth and personality. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Elias. And you have really touched a very important point related to education and the challenges that our children are facing, and not only, of course, in Palestine, but also all over the world. And that's perfect timing for Khaled Batarseh from Jordan to tell us a little bit more about the situation of online schooling during COVID-19. Khaled is a practicing lawyer in Jordan. He holds a master's degree in international trade law. He's the founder and managing partner of Arab Women and Child for Training and Development, OCO. He has been working with and for children in Jordan and the Middle East for over 10 years. And as more than the 20% of Jordan population are Syrian refugees, Khaled is committed to work with Syrian children and Jordanian children in peace building, nonviolence, and education. Khaled, please go ahead.
Thank you, and I would like to thank first Arigatou International for organizing such important session today. As it has introduced that I'm working with coordinator with Arab Women and Child Organization, which is in Jordan. We are working almost since 10 years in Jordan. We are as GNRC members as well, and I'm happily that we have organized in Jordan for the last 3 years 2 regional meetings with the Middle East organization, and we have shared all experiences, information related what the challenges we are facing in Middle East. So so we have strengthened also our connection with our members in Middle East. I would like to mention that mainly in our organization, we are working with the children related to mainly education and interfaith dialogue. As you have mentioned, Ornella, that since almost till now 10 years or 9 years, we have received in Jordan many refugees from Syria. We are almost 2 million refugees from Syria in Jordan, so almost 20% of population of the in Jordan. We tried in our organization to work with the children, with the Syrian children, also together with the Jordanian children, that they to feel that Jordan is their home, to feel that they are not outside of their country. And we have started since almost 5 years our program that to make a gathering between the Syrian children and Jordanian. We used to gather every week in a school. We used to do to check with them the work to work with them in lesson classes, to check, because mainly many of them they did not receive a well education. So we used to see what kind of education need to be strengthened, like math, science. So we used to give an extra classes to them. We used to have sports with them. We used to have an classes like music, arts. In addition, we used to have a praying together in such gathering. But unfortunately, with the COVID started early this year, and in Jordan we have the government started to have a very strict rules related to it, and they have closed fully completely the face-to-face education. They have closed the parks. They have closed the mainly restricted the gathering for more than 10 persons. So we have stopped our program for gathering the children in schools that we have used to do it in every week in a weekly basis. And we have started working online. And this was really a very big challenge for us, for the children, for everyone, for the parents as well. Slowly we have started working on such in the system and building system. And first we started to have such online learning, and we started to have in parallel with the school, we started to have also our system in education system online. We started by doing this the meeting on weekly basis, Zoom meetings. We started to talk to each other, speak with each other again with the children, and then we started also to have an online education with them to strengthen them, to see where they have an issues or challenges in some classes in math, in science, in English or Arabic. So we started to have additional courses with them. Also, we have found that a lot of them, they have an issues with because they are living in disadvantaged areas. So they have a problem with the internet access, sometimes getting laptops or others. So we try to support them in such buying materials. So hopefully also that we listened about, we heard about new vaccine that could be will arrive soon. So we hopefully that to go back to the normal gathering, normal social relationship with our children. I try to discuss about our experience, to share it with everyone what we are doing. And with me here is Bashar, and Bashar can tell us, he's a volunteer with us, and he can tell us more about our program.
Thank you very much, Khaled. And definitely, it's like it has to do not only with the access to education, but also the kind of quality that, as you mentioned, some children definitely are not also, like benefit from. Now, as you mentioned, thank you. There is going to be Bashar. Also from Jordan, joining us today. Bashar is 16-year-old. He's from Jordan and is currently like in secondary school, and he enjoys and likes sports and social relationship with his friends. He's a volunteer at Arab Women and Child Organization and plays a very important role in the work that the organization is undertaking in Jordan. So please, Bashar, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hello. I would like to speak today about the online schooling during COVID-19 challenges and problems from my point of view. Jordan closed face-to-face schools, and we are now online schooling, and we don't go to schools. And Jordan closed many shops, parks, theaters. There are many problems in online schooling, like, for example, the health issues. Many students have back pains, eye pains, neck pains from this online schooling due to sitting on the laptop for over 5 hours. And it also affects you in a mental way as a person, because you can't see each other, you can't see your friends, you can't play your sports, and it affects you in a bad way physically, because you can't play your sports like basketball, football, and others. Also, there is no socializing with other people, so your communication skills are very bad. In online school, 90% of Jordanian kids are in public schools. I am lucky to be in a private school, but the other children, the systems of the online school is usually very bad, as they are in very poor areas, so the internet connection would be very bad. And also the systems are not well developed, so they would have many technical problems. And in conclusion, the organization, we hope the organization Arigatou could see the problems with the poor children and support them by buying them the materials needed for the online school, or by helping with developing new ways to end the problems with the system, the technical problems.
Great, thank you. Bashar, and it's very important that definitely we join efforts, and that's why this global week becomes a very good opportunity also to establish also new partnerships and find ways to also get this perspective from the grassroots, and how we can at different levels join efforts to actually support children, not only from an international level, but really take it down to the communities and their own countries. So now we are gonna move to Europe and to learn a little bit more about the programs and activities that Sombor Educational Center has been doing in Serbia to contribute to the reduction of poverty in the country. For that, I invite Ivana Barac, program coordinator for children and youth in Sombor Educational Center and member of the GNRC in Serbia, to talk about this topic. She is a pedagogue and a program coordinator for children and youth in Sombor Educational Center and has been very active in the field of non-formal education since 2014. Ivana's passion is advocating for inclusive, equal education for all children because she believes that everyone deserves the same learning opportunities. Working with children and young people motivates her constantly to improve and learn new things. She cannot imagine her life without the Sombor Educational Center, its members, volunteers, and users, because she believes that coming to these organizations, is one of the key moments in her life. Ivana, welcome.
Thank you, Ornella. And let me start my presentation by saying thank you to everybody who joined. And I think that in this way, we all showed and recognized the importance of speaking about children's perspective and their challenges that they face with during the COVID-19 pandemic. As you said, my name is Ivana. I'm 25 years old and I come from Serbia. And today I will keep my presentation short and I will describe to you one of the main programs of Sombor Educational Center, which is in relation with education and is directly helping improvement of children from disadvantaged groups. Sombor Educational Center is the organization which is working for more than 10 years with children, and we focus mainly on children from disadvantaged groups, meaning we work with children who are without parental care, children who are Roma ethnicity, children who are coming from foster families and similar. So the program that I will speak about is called the School of Goodwill, and it has been implemented since 2010. And it's actually a unique volunteering service in which volunteers, after successfully finished training for working with children, they provide assistance in learning to children. The program actually includes from one side volunteers, and the other side we have children from mainly disadvantaged groups, which provides them with direct help while also encouraging volunteerism and altruism in our local community. Through this program, children who are users of free classes have the opportunity to actually overcome difficulties in mastering teaching materials. They have the opportunity to spend quality leisure time and reduce the likelihood of school failure and the secondary consequences that school failure can bring. During the COVID-19 pandemic and the first lockdown in Serbia, children started, as you also mentioned, as in other countries, they started online classes. And in addition to needing an internet connection, they also needed actual devices to connect to online teaching platforms, since the whole classes were transferred online and they needed to communicate with teachers and to do their tasks regarding school. In communication with our users, with children who are using our free of charge classes for years, we noticed that there is a significant number of them who do not have neither internet or devices. And that is why in the frame of this project, we were searching for different kind of funds in order to provide children from disadvantaged groups with needed equipment to actually follow school program. The actual problem was that in Serbia, they couldn't actually follow the classes at all because they didn't have the internet, neither the needed devices. So that is why Sombor Educational Center was searching for different funds to be able to provide the children with internet, but also the needed devices. And after, as I said, communicating with our users, we came to acknowledge how to be able to provide them with devices. And that is why we bought devices and actually trained the children how to, and their parents how to use them. We were distributing internet and devices mainly in very poor parts of our community and also in Roma villages. So that is why we wanted to address this question also as an very important, meaning that during the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been very few people who were interested in acknowledging how children from disadvantaged groups were maybe even more excluded during this time. And we came to a conclusion that these children weren't actually able to follow the classes at all. So we think that it is a very important thing that we did, and we consider ourselves happy to be able to communicate with children who are our users and to be able to help them. So I think that would be in short. If anybody has any question in addition, then I think we can do it later on.
Thank you very much, Ivana. And as the other speakers, I mean, and it's actually raising interest in our audience, these kind of alternative methods and systems to actually ensure children's right to education during the pandemic. So it's very inspiring and very, like important, the different methods you have found to actually support access to all children and especially the most disadvantaged. Now, I would like to give the floor to Anya. She is also from Serbia, and she's gonna share about the challenges and perspectives of online teaching in Serbia. Anya is 18-year-old. She currently goes to secondary school of economics. She is in 4th grade. For years now, she's an activist in the field of non-formal education with particular focus on peace-building activities. She's a member of the groups Activatori, Youth United in Peace, Sombor Educational Center, and she's also volunteering in National Theatre in Sombor. Her hobby is writing. Hi, Anya, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. As you know, I'm going to talk about education during the pandemic COVID-19 in Serbia. First, when we had a lockdown, during lockdown, we were only online classes. We had only online classes, and it was a bit difficult because we didn't use Zoom or Google Classes. We were using only email, so we can communicate with our teachers by mail. They were sending us lessons and tasks, so it was a bit difficult. It was hard to manage. I personally couldn't deal with those deadlines. It was a bit hard. There were a lot of problems because some kids, some students couldn't access the emails. They didn't have internet or their computer was broken, so we had a lot of problem with that. Now, by the pandemic is still on, we go 1 week to school and 1 week in-person classes. So we're separated. My class is separated in 2 groups. First group goes online this week, and the second group goes online next week. So we always change. I think that it's good. So we have 1 week free. So you can maybe study more. You have more time for yourself, for your hobbies. You can accomplish more. But it's also a problem because we have like short classes. Our classes were 45 minutes earlier. Now they're only half an hour. So we don't accomplish a lot of things. For example, at math, we don't do all that is meant to do on that class. So that's a bit of a problem. Also, now we started to use Google Classroom, so it's a little bit better. We managed to do a lot of things. It's not that complicated anymore, but we still get confused sometimes. My personal opinion about everything this is that it did get some kind of good things. For example, that we have more time or something like that, but I think that it's still not the best options personally, because some kids don't have internet and it's hard for them, and those kids go completely online because you have like an option to go completely online or to go 1 week online, one week in person. Kids who go completely online, they're always home. They don't have, they can't socialize, and then they have to go to school to do tests or presentations or something like that. So it's a bit complicated. They can't organize their time. It's hard for them to complete everything of that. For me, it's not that kind of problematic, but I think that it was a way better when the COVID-19 wasn't even existing, and when we couldn't go in person in school all the time. We could socialize. I had more times to do volunteering, workshops, and that was a lot better for me. But I think that this is the best way to go through all of this. It's a really good solution.
Great, thank you, Anya. And you have actually provided more details on, what these access and digital disparities mean for the Serbian context. But I'm sure that's definitely not the only case in which, like different actions and measures have been taken. As you said, in your country, maybe this 1 week online, 1 week face-to-face, but then in others, it's just like simply, once a week that they actually go face-to-face. So it's very, very interesting to see how different measures have been taken in different contexts. Now, I would like to invite Laura Molnar from Romania to also give us perhaps another perspective on how things are functioning now in Romania, as she's going to be talking about ensuring a safe learning context and well-being of children during COVID-19 pandemic in Romanian schools. Laura is the GNRC coordinator for Romania and president of Education for Change, a Romanian NGO which provides educational programs for teachers, children, and their parents, aiming to promote quality education, child rights, and to contribute to the well-being of the entire community. She has over 20 years of experience working with children as psychologist and manager of educational programs with focus on disadvantaged children. Welcome, Laura. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Ornella. I'm very glad to be here exchanging experience with our partners from Europe and the Middle East. I realized we faced common challenges during this time. I will ask Marjan assistance. Thank you. Well, our main concern during the COVID-19 pandemic was to bring our contribution for ensuring a safe and inclusive learning context and the well-being of the children in Romanian schools. First of all, we focused on assessing the impact of COVID-19 on children by listening especially to the children. In the lockdown period, we organized online sessions for offering safe space for children to express their emotion, their opinions, the difficulties they face. We also aim to offer opportunities for them to be seen and heard on our social media through their participation to the national and international webinars, or to the Faith in Action for Children global campaign organized by Arigatou International. Involving the children in our assessing on how COVID-19 affects them differently, we were able to better understand the real situation and to elaborate strategies to address the current needs of the teachers, the children, and their parents. In this way, we were able to offer webinars for the children's cognitive, emotional, and spiritual well-being with the following objectives: strengthening children's resilience and their well-being, helping them to cope with losses suffered with the uncertainty regarding their future, developing children's critical thinking by discussing about the reality around them and identifying constructive meanings and the lessons learned during this period, developing a growth mindset by teaching the children how challenges they face now may be an opportunity for their personal development, emphasizing that children and youth can contribute to their own and to the others' safety and well-being. Aiming the sustainability of our activities with children, we elaborated a set of sessions for developing children resilience and their well-being as an educational tool for teachers and school counselors. We focus to reach also children from disadvantaged areas. More than 100 teachers used our resources in their work with children on and offline. Before school started, we elaborated also an educational program for equipping teachers with abilities for the online schools, which included 4 webinars on well-being of teachers and students, classroom management and students' involvement in online learning, digital tools, how to build an efficient teacher-student-parent partnership. Our main objectives were to prevent students' dropout by promoting an inclusive, student-centered education, and to raise awareness on the importance of emotional well-being. We considered also the parents, thinking of their critical role during these times. So we offered webinars on positive parenting to support parents and caregivers to understand how they can help their children more efficiently during the online schools, how to pay more attention to their children's emotional life, how to keep them safe from online perpetrators and harmful content. The most satisfying part of our work was to cooperate with the children and youth involved in our programs as equal partners. I'm very proud of them, and I will let Alexia to say more about their initiatives. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Laura, very much. And now I would invite now, as you mentioned, Laura, Alexia, who's going to talk, as you said, a little bit more about Romanian children's response to COVID-19, talking about taking action against child poverty, taking action against child poverty and violence. Alexia is a 17-year-old. She became involved in GNRC activities 4 years ago, helping her mother, a school counselor, not only as interpreter for a UN consultation organized by the GNRC Romania, but also elaborating activities for the workshops on violence and eradication of poverty. This experience empowered her, and in the last year, she proved to be an excellent leader for youth volunteers in her high school. Alexia, please tell us a little bit more about your experience and the Romanian children's response to COVID-19.
Thank you. My name is Alexia, and I am happy to represent children and youth involved in the Education for Change as a member of GNRC Romania. Regarding the impact of COVID-19 on children in Romania, 38% of children are at risk of poverty or social exclusion, according to Eurostat. Almost half of the children had only a mobile phone at hand to participate in online courses. And also, 27% of them had school subjects not covered during the suspension of courses. Boredom is the main negative feeling of children, followed by fatigue, sadness, and anger. The primary school children felt the isolation more strongly due to their basic level of reading and writing. On the other hand, a relevant number of teens said that they felt lonely, sad, or angry. More than a half of children stated that in this period of time, their basic recreational activity was playing on the phone or computer, their internet addiction becoming more severe. Our group of children participated to the Faith in Action for Children Global campaign organized by Arigatou International, with testimonies describing how COVID-19 affected them and how they envisioned the changes in the community. With this occasion, some students from a school in Bucharest shared their ways to cope with the lockdown, and all activities suggested by them became a useful guide with activities for all children who felt anxious, bored, or sad during this difficult time. These children became mentors for their colleagues. During a webinar which gathered students from 10 different schools, 16 of students from all over the country presented their initiatives of helping disadvantaged children, fundraising campaigns, donations, and volunteering. We received very enthusiastic they mentioned what motivated them to take action, how they identified the target group, and how they planned and organized themselves. The most impressive was when they spoke about the satisfaction they felt and the lessons they learned from the children affected by poverty and the special moments they had together. Here you can see some pictures of the best practices they had. Here we received very enthusiastic feedback from the participants who already planned to help the children affected by poverty. Unfortunately, most of the schools in Romania are closed in this period, so they have to wait till the end of the quarantine to be able to meet and organize their actions. Children from Anya, a central area of the country where schools remained open until the quarantine, were very impressed with the good practices presented in the webinar and blamed their own action for some disadvantaged children from a village nearby. Children are equal partners in the project, building safe learning context for our children. On 12th of November, they exchanged information, experiences, and opinions in the webinar called Injustice and Violence Around Us, organized for students in our country about the main subjects for these times, like cyberbullying, safe e-learning, and how the child rights are respected for disadvantaged children during COVID-19 pandemics. Based on the webinar learnings, they will elaborate short educative videos for their colleagues until 20th November, when Education for Change will launch its social campaign for building safe learning context for our children. In the end, I would like to remember that children have the capacity and the power to bring positive changes in their communities. Thank you very much.
Alexia, thank you very much. And thank you for, closing this panel with this very powerful message on children's citizenship and, empowerment and capacity to transform also communities together with adults, which the Global Week of Faith in Action for Children is what we are trying to encourage, right? That it's actually an intergenerational effort around with and for children. So thank you very much, Alexia, and all of our panelists. We have been receiving some questions from the audience that I would like to pose to the panelists. And of course, they are not addressing any particular panelist, so I will invite all of you to freely participate in answering those questions. The first one says, congratulations for the alternative education system. My question is, how have you managed to orient children on science subjects when it comes to practice? How have you managed to orient children on science subjects when it comes to practice, given this new, situation of online, like homeschooling and online learning? Khaled? You are muted.
Yes, sorry. Okay, I would like to thanks for this question. And our mainly education online system is focusing on young children. Does not focus on elder children, like the ages from 5 to 8 years old. And for the science for these ages are not so advanced, is more basic science. So you used to have a very basic materials like paper, like pen, like sometimes a glue in working in science in a practice. But unfortunately, we don't have the ability now to more and advanced children for above the 8 years, like 10 or 12. I understand when they are above 12 or 13, it's really hard in practice how to do it through the online experiments or some practices through online. But for our cases, we could handle it with very simple and basic materials as we focus on younger children. And thanks for such a question.
Thank you very much, Khaled. Roger?
Yeah, I would like to answer this question according to our adaptation system of education here nowadays. So here, our system is like the classes, they are split out into 2 or 3 classes. So we have 2 or 3 groups for the big class. The big class contains around 30 students. So we will divide them. So, and the Ministry of Education, they give the schools to reschedule their schooling time. So, for instance, the 7th grade, they have to go to the school 3 days per week or 2 days. The rest of the days, they have to go to fulfill their subjects, and mainly the science and labs classes. So in this way, we try to not to have the big number of students and try to implement the protocols. And it will be vice versa. So one day I will go to the school to take all my themes, and the second day I will be absent at home, and Elias, for instance, will go to replace me in the small rooms in the schools. So this is our system, how it is functioning in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roger. And now I'm gonna move on to the next question that we received that says, would you recommend that other countries consider purchasing devices for underprivileged communities?
Maybe I can answer because I was speaking about our experience. First of all, I would say that we had many thinking and many concerns before we did it, because our main problem was that we were thinking that we will not be able to purchase the devices for all the children that needed it. So that is something that we were considering. Do we even want to start doing it if we cannot include all the children that need devices? And the other concern was that we will not be able to provide enough funds to buy all the needed equipment. But I would, from this perspective, I would say yes, you should consider it, and you should decide in your team inside of the organization or group that you are working with. You should consider, but you should plan it very well, because even now we are still searching for. We did purchase some devices and we distributed it, but we are still having children calling us and telling they also need it. So we are still in the search of funds. So it's a process, but we think it's worth it. So I would say yes, definitely consider it.
Thank you very much, Ivana. And if anyone else, okay, so perhaps we move on to the next and final question that is being posed to Laura Molnar. How do you move from resilience to empowerment in education? Resilience might not be enough when we want children to thrive and become more active. Laura.
Well, in my opinion, empowering children is part of building their resilience, because if in this period we are speaking with them about how they can act proactively, they will gain the sense of control they may lost in the lockdown and during this so many uncertainty and changes in their lives. So I think also contributing to the well-being of the others is a part of nurturing their well-being. Of course, not all the adults recognize the children's wisdom and trust their capacity to bring positive changes in their communities. So we need to encourage children for that. The children needs at the beginning our guidance. The children needs at the beginning proper context from us in order for them to be able to take initiatives. They need guidance in how to establish their objectives, how to cooperate in an efficient way, how to elaborate their projects, and also maybe they need at the beginning our help in facilitating the connection with the target group or with other possible social partners in their initiatives. So yes, we cannot expect them if we don't empower them, if we don't show them how many things they can do. We cannot expect them to take initiatives like that.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Laura. And we are reaching the end of this panel that with many concrete recommendations from the grassroots. That's what this week is about. It's about connecting the local with the global and regional. So we are very proud and very pleased for having had the opportunity to, engage the GNRC and these grassroots-led sessions. So I would like to extend a special thanks to the Arab Educational Institute, the Arab Women and Child for Training and Development, OLCO, Sombor Educational Center, and Education for Change Association. All of them represented here today on this panel, all of them members of the Global Network of Religions for Children. I would like also to thank all the audience that have been joining us from all over the world. Welcome to this Global Week of Faith in Action for Children. We prepare a very kind of interesting opportunities and sessions for you to join throughout the week. And we cannot close without, of course, inviting you to watch the virtual exhibition, Faith in Action for Children, and include all your ideas on recommendations on the panel 4 of the exhibition. The Faith in Action for Children virtual exhibition highlights what the children and adults have to say, and it includes artworks, articles, multimedia projects by about 150 children from all around the world, telling us what it is like to be a child during this pandemic. It aims to foster intergenerational dialogue, and it's a 3D exhibition that also presents voices of adults and their commitment to creating a better future for children and young people, and invites visitors, of course, to present your inputs, ideas, recommendations. This is a conversation that that needs more than one voice, and this is a conversation that definitely wants to value all the experiences and the contribution of faith communities, religious leaders, and faith-based organizations from all around the world. So I would like to thank you, all of our panelists, most especially to Elias, Alexia, Anya, and Bashar for their very powerful insights, and of course, all the adults also supporting us and joining us today. It's been a pleasure. We look forward to continuing supporting regional efforts around Europe and the Middle Eastern countries for children's rights, and of course, not doing it alone, but also with and for children. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and don't forget to join the upcoming sessions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.